Hello, everybody. This is David Herzog, your favorite Ohio Yankee in St. James's Court. Okay, it's not quite St. James's Court. It's more of like a food court, because they're serving coffee and tea here. But regardless, I'm making a Rodgers and Hart reference, harkening back to the good old 1930s, because I just had a wonderful conversation with Ben de Wynter, the director of The Boys from Syracuse, which is going on right now at the Union Theatre here in London. And I also had a chance to talk to the wonderful Seymour-Marsh, who is playing Antipholus of Ephesus in the piece. Let's take you right to the very informative and provocative conversation I have with these two gentlemen and hear a little bit more about the show.
My name is Ben de Wynter. I directed the show that is The Boys of Syracuse.
My name is Oliver Seymour-Marsh, and I am playing one of the identical twins in the show, Antipholus of Ephesus.
Okay, so I think the first question I have right off the bat is, are these boys from Syracuse or are they from Syracuse?
Very good, very good. I think one of our actresses actually has just done the Shakespeare play, and it was Syracuse, I think. But because of the intonations in the songs, it's Syracuse.
Okay.
But my thought with it was, considering that Syracuse is obviously the Italian, I thought, Syracuse, you would have thought, it sounds far more natural, as opposed to Syracuse, which is obviously American, and there is a Syracuse in New York.
That's right, in upstate New York, yeah.
So yeah, Syracuse.
We did have a discussion, didn't we, about
Yeah,
it?
we did.
And I said we've got, because it's based on the Shakespeare, then we should base it in England rather than in America.
Yeah.
That was the intention behind it. But then I got into a bit of trouble from the musical director saying that may interfere with some of the lyrics and how they scan.
It's taken a very small amount of manipulation of the script as well, just to kind of try and resituate the whole show. Mm-hmm. There are certain words that we've used that we've changed. So, for instance, there are references to sort of things like roadhouses that we've now changed to hostels.
Sure.
And certain phrases like "Hey, boss, how's it going?" Which sounds, I just did it in an American accent for no apparent reason, but it sounds slightly strange in English. Okay. But we've just tweaked. I say we've tweaked most of the tweaking.
But a lot of because all of the soundtracks that we've listened to have been American companies, when people have come into the project, they have sung in a very American way. And we've also got some Irish lads in the production, so it's been a mix of American-Irish, which has been interesting.
Yes.
To say the least.
Yes, indeed.
So
very colonial.
Our musical directors had fun.
For those of our listeners who aren't familiar with the piece, Ben, could you tell us a little bit about what Boys from Syracuse is about?
Yes, it's based on Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors, and it's two sets of twins, one a slave, one a master. There's a shipwreck, and they get split up. And basically it's one chap, who's the chap from Syracuse.
All of the above.
All of the above. And he's searching for his brother, his twin brother, and similarly his servant, Dromio, is looking for his twin as well. And it's their search. They've searched everywhere, and they come to Ephesus, which is their final port of call. And believe it or not, that's exactly where their twins reside.
And thrown into the mixing pot is the father of the
the father happens to also be in Ephesus as well. Obviously, mistaken identity. It's comedy. Supposed to be
farce, isn't it? Really,
it is farce.
All the characters that we've been working on are so huge and almost over the top. But I think in order to do justice to the script, you really need to play them to the max.
Mm-hmm. And there are some of those scenes that are so fast. The pace is so fast, but I don't think you could play it any other way. But you've got exits and entrances happening simultaneously, so it should be quite fast-paced.
I remember that was when Ben was directing, one of the first things we talked about was the importance of entrances and exits. And I remember you saying that's what farce is, isn't it? Farce is literally just making sure that you get those right and blasting through, or not blasting through, but making sure that you do justice to the text by putting the pace on it that's necessary.
I think that's it. When someone exits with a blue toga and then someone else enters almost immediately with a blue toga, then you instill in your audience, yes, these could be the identical twins. Because I have to be honest with you, we haven't got twins to play the roles, so we've used costume and hair in order to make them resemble each other.
Not entirely dissimilar, but yeah. There are certain similarities. We're both about 5'10". This is the
both blue eyes.
There you go. Close enough.
What more do you need?
I think that's perfect.
Now, in addition to this being based on Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors, this also has a score by Rodgers and Hart.
Yeah.
And the music of Rodgers and Hart is hard to come by these days in either country.
I have to say, it's the Rodgers and Hammerstein company in Europe, who a chap called Bert Fink put this forward to me. And I think they're not often done. And I know that the Union have put out a few recently. You know, they are great. I love the soundtrack. It was written in 1938. It absolutely embraces that time. It feels as if the opening should have huge lights, sort of spotlights, almost film-esque, and very beautiful lyrics, beautiful melodies, and that we wanted to embrace that. So, in fact, the opening scene that we have is we've got people coming in 40s garb and presenting the show as if it's in the 40s. Okay. And what it's doing is I've put it there because it embraces the dance style. We've got the choreographer Mark Smith, who's done a wonderful job on it. And I've asked him to be very 40s in his choreography. Mm-hmm. And it's also just saying, with the music, this comes from the 40s, and what a fantastic time it was for music at that point. So it's embracing that 40s feel about it.
It's really interesting you say about the film, because one of the first things I thought when I read the script was how odd it was. You get to the end of the first act, and then all of a sudden there are these words that say the ballet. And you're like, okay, what does that mean? That could be anything. That could be a minute's worth of someone doing sort of several pirouettes to what we have, which I think is a really, really lovely sequence that lasts, probably the best part, 6-7 minutes, something like that. And I think that ties in a lot to the idea of it being a film. I think, those 1940s films, it was very common to have these big, elaborate choreographed sequences. And so I think it's a testament to our choreographer that he's managed to make that work, especially in the space like the Union, which is absolutely lovely but fairly small. But yeah, I think it works. I think it works really, really well. I think there are a few other moments in the show where we've kind of gone for quite a big ensemble feel, and they seem to have been some of the best received, especially from the audience. I think there's something quite powerful about having that many people on stage, and especially with the intimacy of that specific theatre, I think it's quite powerful.
Now, speaking of the space, the Union, obviously a great space with a wonderful reputation. Why the decision to put on this particular production, and why there?
I've been associate there for a long time. I joined them in '99, so it's been 14 years now.
Good chunk of time.
And Sasha, who is the artistic director there, and we directed our first musical together, Cabaret, in 2002. And it was so well received. We got a lovely review in the Evening Standard. We sold out. We brought it back at Christmas time. We sold out. So then every year we decided to do a musical because they were received so well. And it's just, people now assume that Union, is a musical venue. It is very much a musical venue. When I started there, it was very, very much to do with new writing and new actors. And we had a lot of new work there, a lot of new actors. And I think a lot of the company here, some are just out of drama school, and it's a platform for them after you've just graduated from drama school. You go for those auditions, but failing that, what a great platform to have a bigger role than you would normally have, say, on a touring venue, where you probably get an acting ASM or a few lines here.
Right.
You'll have a substantial role, and you can prove yourself, and people don't mind coming to Southwark to see stuff.
Right.
So if you're looking for your agent or if you're looking for casting directors, then they should bring them down. And I think Sasha and I, our favourite moments are when we hear that people who have been in our productions have suddenly bounced into the West End or have bounced into national tours, and that's been the springboard for them, has been being in one of our shows.
I think it works the other way as well. I think there are quite a few members of this company that I know have worked in the West End and actually really enjoy working with younger actors, people that are really enthusiastic, people that are ambitious, and getting to have those wonderful roles in, as I was saying before, in that really intimate space. And it's just I think it's a very positive energy that comes from working in a kind of profit share environment, because people really pull together. Everything that you do has to be for the benefit of the show, and you have to want to be there. You have to want to make the show work. purely because that's why you're there. You're not there because you're earning your bread and butter,
Right.
and it's because you want to be there to do good and exciting things.
Exactly. So Ben, can you tell us a little bit about not only the design of the piece, because obviously it harkens back to, is it the Roman with Plautus being the original author of
That's right.
the Roman piece that Shakespeare then based Comedy of Errors on. Can you tell us a little bit about how you go about designing a piece like that, and then how you would go about directing it?
The design of the piece was very much, you don't have a huge budget on the Fringe. It was very much to do with the costumes. We're setting it in Greece. We've had a lovely woman, Shana David, who's basically made every costume. So we threw the little budget that we had at the costumes. And we've got a cast of 18. It's it is a small space, but I thought the more room we have on stage, the better. So literally, it's just a little nod to Greece. We've got a maze with a minotaur in the centre on the floor, and we've just got a platform at the back with curtains, because in the ballet and in certain parts of the play, it's good that we've got that height. And in one corner, we have a 40s memorabilia, just to, again, keep the audience knowing that this is where we're setting it. The opening lines of the play are, we've got a comedy to present to you. These aren't the right words, but we've got a comedy to present to you. If it's good enough for Shakespeare, it's good enough for us. So it's very much our actors saying, we're about to present a show, which is where that sort of 40s design was coming from. And as I say, they're in 40s costumes to start with. We hit the togas within about 5 minutes.
Okay.
So as far as the design is concerned, it's more the acting, and I think that Sasha is very keen that you could do it all in a black box. So we've kept it to a minimum, apart from the costumes, where they are togatastic. I think one of the reviewers said.
Very nice.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah,
That design.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And then, like I was saying, how do you then go about directing a piece as stylized as this?
Well, I think I go about it as I would with any piece of theatre. You do your research on the time. It's very much set in a agora, a forum. So it's what happens in this forum in ancient Greece. Do we have people selling their wares? So with that, it's very important for me. I've worked on a couple of big productions, and the key to those were how the actors that were around the actual action of the play, how they were acting and were believable. So it's trying to establish them and what they're doing in this Greek forum. And I think if you can make people believe the environment that they're in, then that goes a long way to helping the piece.
Absolutely.
As far as the directing of it is concerned, my thesis was on Pinter, so I like my drama.
Okay.
And this is very slapstick, so it was very interesting for me, and I got a huge amount from the actors involved. And when they were doing little bits for a laugh, I thought I embraced that, and I thought, actually, you know what, that made me laugh. And as a director, I'm the eyes of the audience, and if it makes me laugh, then hopefully it'll make our audience laugh. So there's a lots of comedy in there, which growing up, not the 9 o'clock news, 40 Towers, it's Monty Python. It's stuff that I enjoy, and it gave me the authority. I was allowed to put some of that comedy into the way that I directed, which I don't normally do, which was fantastic for me, very new for me.
It was really lovely actually being directed by Ben, because he's very open-minded. So there's no kind of, I don't think there's a set, right, we're going to go from A to B via this point, this point, this point, this point, and this point. It was far more of a, okay, here's a scene, let's see what happens, let's have a go. We know where we need to end up, and there's something really exciting about that for an actor, and it gives you a lot of confidence to play around. And I think with a piece that requires so much physical exertion and so much energy and being on the front foot so much of the time, it's important to feel secure and feel like what you're going to offer is going to be, at the very least, well criticised, rather than just shut down straight away. And so I think that's left us with hopefully something that's quite engaging.
And can you tell us a little bit about your character and how they fit into the story?
Yeah, sure. So I'm playing Antipholus of Ephesus, which did take me about 2 weeks to learn how to say without stumbling all over it. Sure. But yeah, most people I think in the play have to say that name at least once. So we've all had the same problem. But yeah, my character is from Ephesus. I think, to be honest, he's quite a self-obsessed type guy. He spends a lot of time at the local brothel with his favourite courtesan. And if he's not doing that, then he's being told off by his wife for getting home too late and drinking too much and basically being overindulgent. I think, he's someone who's probably almost forgotten the fact that he had a twin brother. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you get to the end of the play and he realises, I hate to spoil the story, but yeah, you get to the end of the play and he realises that his twin brother's been looking for him is a bit of a sort of juxtaposition. And I'm sure that if you were then able to follow his story, they would go and have a couple of beers together and find out how much they had in common. But the character, he's a lot of fun to play. We kind of decided early on that the style required quite a lot of character, so a lot, quite an intense characterisation, especially to play the farce that's in the role. There's a lot of shouting that happens. There's a lot of intensity, and one of the odd decisions, or one of the difficult decisions we had to make at the beginning, was how much violence to play between the Dromios and the Antipholus, because the Dromios are the slaves or the servants. Right. And so in the script, there's quite a lot of he slaps him around the head, he gives him a whack, he pushes him over, that kind of thing. And so I think that was a very difficult choice to make, which of those moments we were going to invest in and which ones we were going to leave out. But I think we've hit a nice balance, and trying to find the things that make these twins without sort of us having exactly the same gesticulation or mannerisms or voices. You can get around that because obviously they've spent so much time growing up in different cities. But I mean, it's been a really creative process, and as Ben was saying, one of the routes that we went down was sort of the Monty Python route, and so there's a kind of a little bit of John Cleese in there, a bit of slapstick.
What's been the most rewarding part of the experience for you of doing this show and this role?
Definitely working with so many people. I think any actor, any I was going to say good actor, but that sounds incredibly big-headed. No, that's not what I mean.
Go ahead. I
think any good actor wants to work with people, wants to work with new people, because it doesn't matter how much experience someone has, you're always going to learn something, and getting to watch 17 actors around you every day is an experience, and you pick up on certain things that you didn't think would work, and then you realise that in front of an audience, actually, that person who is doing this sort of strange routine you didn't think was going to resonate is suddenly very funny, and that's always very exciting. So for me, it's been the people.
What about you, Ben? What's been the most surprising part of this experience in this particular production for you?
I think again, it's I direct a lot of Acheborn at the theatre, at the Union Theatre, and it's a different kind of comedy. It's in fact quite sad where the comedy comes from, and the humour is in that, whereas this is slightly more two-dimensional, should I say. And it's an ability to have, which is to be able to direct that sort of slapstick. And for me, it's been a huge learning curve trying to find my way into how these scenes should be played and how physical they should be.
Right.
And as far as the hitting is concerned, for me, I base a lot of my stuff in sort of reality. So when I saw that there were these sections where people were being hit quite a few times, I didn't buy into it. When we tried it, I didn't buy into that. And it's so intimate in that space that you do need an element of realism about it, because I think when you've got a bit of distance between you and the audience, you probably could get away with it, but it's so intimate. You don't want to ostracize your audience, so it's finding that balance. And I'm still, on that first night I was thinking, oh, I could have gone further. We could have gone further with the comedy, and then the next night I go, oh, well, maybe is that too much or not? So even now, when I see the show, I'll come in with my pad and with notes, going, well, why don't we try this? Always looking for ways to tell the story and have a few japes on the way.
I often feel that with farce, it feels as though it should be very specific. There are certain ways to get a laugh. There are certain things that you do that will make someone laugh, and obviously you never consciously play the laugh. You play the moment, and that's what is funny. But with this show, I've felt a lot more ability to experiment, and I felt more of I think, again, basically because of Ben's encouragement. But that's been one of my favourite parts of working on this show, is that I am still trying things every night, and sometimes things will hit the mark. And
there's an element of the piece where I directed in a show in Derry, George Farquhar show, and I was with an older actor who was in his 60s, and he was wonderful. And there was one point where he had to seduce this woman. And he got up on the couch and was sort of crawling towards her. And I had this, I said, you've got to yelp like a dog. Just because that's what turns you on.
Yeah.
As soon as you get quite frisky, so, you get, and he wouldn't have it. I was new to him. I hadn't directed him before. And I think it came to our dress rehearsal, and he said, Ben, have you got any notes for me? And I said, I think you're fantastic. I said, I wish you would bark. It's not to make you look daft. It's just, from me as an audience, you seem to get so excited, and an outlet for that would just be a bit of a yap. And he did try it on the preview, and he got a giggle. And there's nothing that makes an actor more willing than a giggle from the audience.
Sure,
So he then developed it, and I was, literally, it was something that came to me in the first week of rehearsal, and I thought, if we could only develop that in that first week, then what would we have got to by the time we were in performance? Mm-hmm. And working with these chaps, it was great because you'd put it out there, and you wouldn't get the resistance that you would maybe have with an older actor. They were quite willing to go for it, which meant that you had that time to develop it. It was, which is great to have a company that are happy to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, just want to talk very, very little bit about the score itself, the Rodgers and Hart score. Ollie, I'll direct this next one to you. What was it like learning the music from that era and from those two musical geniuses?
It's great. The melodies are so beautifully written that it makes it very easy to pick them up. And it's one of those shows, with much like any of those Rodgers and Hart, Rodgers and Hammerstein, that you find yourself humming incessantly, and it kind of becomes, it sort of takes over your life. You're standing in the shower singing "Sing for Your Supper," and you think, how on earth does a 26-year-old man end up standing in the shower singing "Sing for Your Supper"?
Right.
But you get some strange looks from the flatmates, but it's okay. We start off with learning all of the ensemble numbers. So everyone just gets together. It gives everyone a chance to hear each other. It gives everyone a chance to sort of hear how they're going to connect vocally, and it gives the MD a chance to sort of see where we need to start and where we need to go. And then we worked on the individual stuff after that. And I have sort of one song in this which is called "The Shortest Day of the Year," which is a really nice sort of ballad along the kind of "Oh, what a beautiful morning" lines, that quite lyrical, very lulling. And one of the challenges I can imagine for anyone doing this kind of a show is how to make that kind of music feel exciting and engaging for a contemporary audience, because obviously people, we have very different tastes now musically. You only have to listen to the charts to realise that, or to know that. And I think one of the most obvious ways to get the most out of them is to try and tell the stories with all of the songs, and I think that's where Ben's choreography and Mark's choreography and Ben's direction really came into bringing the songs to life. And some of them just sound like really, really good old-fashioned jazz standards.
Yeah.
I mean, which is the jazz kind of the one that Antipholus of Syracuse sings? This can be love because I feel so well.
This can't be love.
Yeah, that's the one. Just a really great song. You know, loads of people have covered that, and you can, you know, Michael Bublé could release that tomorrow, and it would sell huge numbers. So they're just very catchy songs, which makes them easy to sing.
That's excellent. Very quickly, Ben, can you give us the details of where the piece is being performed, the address, any numbers or websites that people can go to pick up tickets before, and also the date that it closes as well?
Yes, certainly. We've got another couple of weeks.
Okay.
We finish on the 26th. Performances are Tuesday to Saturday at 7:30, and also matinees on Saturday and Sunday at 2:30.
So 26th of October.
26th of October. That's right. That gives the 2 weeks. And it's www.uniontheatre.biz, or you can phone the Union Theatre up, which is 0207 261 9876.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It sounds like an excellent project.
Thanks
and
for having
I
us.
look forward to hearing for some more good things from you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, folks, do head over to the Union Theatre before October 26th to see The Boys from Syracuse by Rodgers and Hart. In addition to Oliver Seymour-Marsh, there's also Aaron Hayes Rodgers in the piece as Antipholus of Syracuse, as well as Matt Cavendish and Alan McHale as the two Dromios. Also featured in the cast are Carrie Sutton, Natalie Woods, Cara Dudgeon, and the list goes on and on. And for those of you who had the good fortune to see me this past summer in Fame at the Gordon Craig Theatre, you might also recognize a face or two from that. Mr. Matt Lee Steer and Ms. Emily Juniper, who were involved with that production, are also in The Boys from Syracuse. So go to the website, www.uniontheatre.biz, for ticket information, and I hope to see you at the theater, folks. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.